Well, hello everybody. I'm here today to do another STAAR 2.0 video, and this one is going to focus on multi-select and how to give your kids in-class at-bat. So here we are in Cambium with some practice questions for STAAR 2.0. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to point out that this is an extremely difficult question. This is from the 8th grade social studies test, and we've got an excerpt that addresses the New York riots and the Memphis massacre. Now, if you know the Texas Teaks, you know that we don't really cover these events in Texas. So I suspect this is a test question that found its way onto STAAR test after being used on a standardized test in some other state, probably a Common Core state. Very often I've seen these come from the New York U.S. history test and then turn up on STAAR a few years later. So we know, those of us that teach 8th grade U.S. history, that doesn't feel like a fair question. But after seeing years and years and years of STAAR tests, we also know we should expect the kids to be given stimuli that may mention people or primary source writings or even some historical events that we didn't directly teach. So whether we think it's fair or not, we do have to prepare our kids for this kind of thing. Okay, so multi-select, or excuse me, multi-part questions, you get two parts, and they're both going to be multiple choice. So practicing multiple choice with kids is pretty easy. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. But I do want to show you what I think is an opportunity for us when we're practicing this. So let's just look at the question first in the testing platform. So here we have our stimuli from the Chicago Tribune making reference to events that we really don't. I think I've mentioned the New York riots to my students. I've never taught the Memphis massacre. It's not in the TEKS. But we've got this excerpt, and so part A is based on the evidence they've got of their background knowledge. Why did the massacre occur? And then part B, they're having to say what evidence in the text gives them that answer, right? So that's a really simple, straightforward thing. And it's the sort of thing that we very often find on these multi-part questions, that part A is answer it and part B is give evidence. Now, if you've already seen my video on short constructed response, this should be ringing a bell, because our strategy for short constructed response is for the students to give the answer to the question and then provide their evidence for it, which is exactly what we're doing here. So put that in the back of your mind for just a moment, because there is an opportunity here when we practice multi-part questions to also sneak in some practice to our short constructed response writing as well. So I've gone ahead in a Google Doc and I've snipped the question using our snipping tool. So I've got the stimuli here, and then I've typed up the question and answers. And we could practice. We could practice. We could practice multiple choice in any number of platforms, but today I want to do it in a Google form. And I want to show you why I like Google Forms for at least some of this. So I've already got in this Google form, I built in a First Amendment multi-select question. In here, I've got questions on their identifying information. But notice that between each set of questions, I've created a section. So I've got section 1, which is my student identifying information, and then section 2 is my first. Now this one didn't come off of STAAR, but my first STAAR 2.0 type item that we're going to practice with. And if we hit our preview button and we bring this up, the reason I like this is because all the students are going to see is one section at a time. So we're just going to pretend I'm answering questions here, and we'll just put in, some kind of data so I can get to the next screen. And then when I click next, all I get is this one item. And that mirrors what's happening in the online testing platform. They're getting one test item at a time. So in the Google form, if we use the section option, we can emulate the mechanics of Cambium without actually having to log kids into Cambium, right? It takes away some of that fear and intimidation, and Google Forms are just something we as teachers are really comfortable using. So let's go ahead then, and I'm going to highlight this question, and I'm going to click section. So now I get a new section, right? And so we have a reconstruction error question. And this is multi-part practice, right? So this is what we're doing. So the first thing that I need to do is I'm going to need to drop in an image. So we're going to go ahead and I didn't go right. There we go. It helps if I hit the right button. We're going to upload because I have saved that snip to my drive. So I'm going to go in here and find it. We're going to go to my quick access, and I've got this Memphis stimuli, and we're going to pop that in. So there's my stimuli. And now underneath that, we're going to add our first question. And what I love about Google Form is hopefully this works. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but we're going to see if Google Form plays nice today. And then I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to grab my answer choices. And hopefully this goes nice and smooth. Otherwise, it's kind of embarrassing for videos like this, but we're going to drop that in there, and boom, there are my answer choices. So nice and neat. This is going to be a required question. We're going to pop into our answer key. We're going to put the right answer on there. And then we're going to add another question because this is two parts. So we're going to follow that same procedure. So we're going to copy part B. And then we're going to do the same thing with our answer choices. Right? Now, if we just stop here, we have perfectly replicated multi-part questions the way our kids are going to see them on STAAR. But remember what we said. There's a lot of commonality between the way this particular question is framed and the way we want our kids to think about short constructed response. So if I wanted to increase the rigor here and really help solidify my kids, one of the things I could do is I could turn one of these two questions into a short response. So now I'm going to give kids a chance to practice that writing. Okay. But I don't want to do that today. I've got to drop this back in here. Another thing I could do is let's add another part C, your answer choices, A and B, a well written, short, constructed response. And we're going to make that a short answer question. So the reason we're doing this is now that the kids have had a chance to look at the stimuli and then they've used multiple choice to come up with their answer and multiple choice again to come up with their evidence. Now that they've done these two things there, I'm going to have them turn that into a short answer. They're going to put those two pieces together in their own words, quoting from the text where appropriate, and it gives them the opportunity to get an at-bat at how to build a short constructed response. By the way, one of the things I like about doing it this way is even if a kid misses one or both of these questions, they could get partial credit because they may have picked the wrong answer and or the wrong evidence, but they were able to take those two pieces and at least put it into a cogent thought down here in the short constructed response. So they're going to get some benefit out of it, even if they miss here. So that's our idea, that we're going to take this format on STAAR and we're going to turn it into something that not only they can practice with, but that we can extend that into a way that's going to impact their ability to do short constructed response. Hope this video has been helpful. See you on the next one.